Okay, it's been a while since I made this channel, and I've even made a few informative videos about Bangladesh. But except just one of them, everything else I talked about were really specific things about Bangladesh and not the whole country in general. So I thought to myself, why not make another list? I am sure that most of you do not know much, if not anything, about Bangladesh. Don't worry, I don't mean it in a negative context. It cannot be helped that as a country it is really small. Real life is really tough, and the day-to-day experiences can grind away the patience of even the most astute of men. So who the hell has time to go out of their way to Google about a country that may or may not be relevant to them for the rest of their life? I certainly don't. I can confidently say that I know very little about countries such as, say, Guyana, Tanzania, Tajikistan, or Estonia. I only know the names and the continent they are in. I am not saying that there is nothing interesting of them. I am very sure that there are many fun things to explore in those countries. It's just that I won't actively go to Wikipedia to learn about them. Unless it's in the form of a fun and informative video I happen to come across on YouTube. But here's the question. Are you sure you don't know anything about Bangladesh? I'm pretty sure that even people who have not watched any of my videos know at least a thing or two about the country. So how about I jog your memory a little bit about things that you yourself don't know that you know about my country. Was that a bit confusing? Hell, whatever. I'm sure you guys understand what I'm getting at. So, I created this video, a list of 5 things Bangladesh is famous for that even you might know. You might not know everything in this list, and hey, if all of them are unknown to you, then let me know in the comments below. I'll be sure to reply back. And vice versa, please comment if all of them are familiar to you too. That would be really awesome. One thing I would like to mention is that this is not a list about the most wondrous things about Bangladesh, not the most attractive things, not the things that we Bengali people are the most proud about, nor is it a list of the most famous things in Bangladesh. Just the list of the most famous things in Bangladesh that you might know about. With that behind, let's begin. Starting with number 5. We are anti-left-handed. Okay? A bit anticlimactic, but let me explain. This is also something that we have in common with the Indian and Pakistani people, or people of Southeast Asia in general, that we eat with our right hand. Right hand, not left hand. This is something that you really have to remember if you want to visit this country one day. Trust me, it is going to save you a lot of embarrassment. The general rule in Dhaka and even the whole Indian subcontinent is that always using your right hand when giving or receiving something from other people, and of course when eating. Even if you're eating with a fork and spoon, use your right hand, not your left. The main reason for this is, I think, that in Bangladeshi and Indian society, the left hand is associated with cleaning dirty things. For example, wiping one's bottom. Hence, Deshi people have a negative opinion about the left hand. Unfair to the left hand, however, that's how things work. It is, however, completely acceptable to use both of your hands when giving and receiving things, but just keep that in mind, that left hand bad, right hand good. If you are a foreigner visiting this country and use your left hand frequently, I don't really think the locals will actually call you out for it. However, be sure that they will definitely notice. Using your right hand, on the other hand, will definitely earn you some serious credit with the local people. As someone who is in the know, the left hand stigma is pretty deep rooted here. It's something that we have been taught since we were just a barely functioning toddler with really unimpressive motor skills, and something that parents would even punish their kids for. Wow, I know. Coming up at number 4 is our huge population. It's something you know, I know, it's something everyone knows. Don't believe me? Well, take a look at this or this. These are in fact pictures taken in Bangladesh, so you can get an idea of how big the population actually is in Bangladesh. Bangladesh has a huge population for its tiny country size. It has half of the United States' total population while only being the size of Texas. The capital of Dhaka alone has 21 million people living in it, and this was a metric from a few years before. Right now, it's even larger. This is one of the scare factors for tourists when they visit this country, because simple math, more population, more poverty, which may lead to more crimes. Yes, Bangladesh is doing a lot better in recent years. The situation is definitely improving, but it is still a third world country. You have to keep that in mind. So it is definitely poorer than Western first world countries. There is illiteracy, shelter problems, and unemployment. One thing to note that the government has gotten a lot better at utilizing the huge population than before. So the situation right now is not the same as the situation 10 years ago. It's one of those things that are cons in the short term but pros in the long term. When the coronavirus started first spreading in this country, everyone thought it was the end of the world, and it kind of was a nightmare. In contrary to what many analysts believe, the situation did not reach the worst case of scenario, and vaccination has already started. So yes, again, the situation is improving. Number 3 is our country's huge garments industry. Of course, you might be thinking right now, wait, why the hell should I know about your country's garment industries? Well, it's a bit indirect. While you might not know about the industry itself, you might have personally, at some point of your life, come across a product made here. It's kind of like the made in China thing, but it's made in Bangladesh. I mean, look at this. Seems familiar? I don't want to insinuate any political things on this channel, but as a famous example, this works perfectly. Bangladesh is the second largest apparel producer for the world right after China. Huge brands like H&M, Calvin Klein, Uniqlo, Nike, Levi's, and Gap all have partnerships with garment factories that are situated in Bangladesh. The industry employs a total of 5 million people, most of whom are women, who do it to support their families. So you could say that this industry actually supports about 20 million people, counting the families of the workers. And yes, like anything else, it is filled with controversy. Poor working conditions, strikes, low wages, high working hours, non-existent overtime and vacation. The culminative effect of all those problems resulted in one of the greatest tragedies in our country's history, the Rana Plaza collapse, where over 1,000 garment workers lost their life. This gained international significance, and the tragedy, though indirectly, caused the future working conditions of garment workers to improve tremendously after international backlash. The country, its businessmen lost trade deals worth of millions. From a recent BBC report, I've come to know that factory owners right now are moving towards bettering workplace conditions, increasing wages, overtime, and even vacations, though very small amounts. They're also moving towards automation, which may in fact cause more job losses. Remember, it's 20 million people who are dependent on this industry, and if one machine can replace 50 workers, that's bye-bye for 250 people's livelihood. What the future holds, I don't know. However, that's not the topic of this video. The topic is, right now, at this very moment while watching this video on your bed or sofa, you might actually be wearing a cloth that has been made in Bangladesh. Check it and let me know in the comments below. The Royal Bengal tiger. This one speaks for itself. I mean, it's probably the most famous, meanest and coolest looking cat on earth. I know anyone who wasn't absolutely mesmerized by this royal cat the first time they saw them in a zoo. Anyone who knows anything about tigers should know about this majestic feline. I have 2 whole videos done on Sundarbans, where this predator lives. You can watch those by clicking on the eye icon above. Even if most people do not know a thing about the Sundarbans in Bangladesh, a staggering amount seem to get excited when the topic shifts to the Royal Bengal tiger, especially since they make headlines, and not the way most humans like. Exciting as it may be, Royal Bengal tiger are the most consistently turned man-eaters in the planet. Every year, about 35 to 40 people are gnawed on and killed in the Sundarbans area by them. There is a story in India about the Champawat female tiger who have been said to cause 436 deaths in the Champawat district. The tiger was eventually shot and killed by Colonel James Corbett. However, it had caused a lot of deaths and casualties in its wake. It is even said that Royal Bengal tigers can remember faces. They remember the smell of humans and are hell-bent on taking revenge on those who wronged them. There are records of them following back hunters to their huts and attacking them in case their prey is stolen. According to some zookeepers and trainers of tigers, you can never trust a Bengal tiger. They are the most dangerous predators on earth and fear no human. Names may lie, but nicknames are there for a reason. The title of man-eater is not for show. So if you ever have a chance to visit the Sundarbans, don't let curiosity kill you just like it killed the cat. Because in this case, seeing a Royal Bengal tiger in the flesh will not bring you back. Even for locals, they are a terrifying nightmare. Nothing strikes more fear into the hearts and minds of the people of the Sundarbans region than if you talk about tiger. Tiger, just the word, will make the local man freak out. The Bengali word for it is bagh, and it will send the villagers into frenzy. There is a saying around the area that if you talk about tigers, the tigers will come for you. Well, enough scary talk. In reality, the number of man-eaters is far less than the actual number of these cats, so I don't think it's right to judge the whole lot by the actions of a few. In the past, revenge killings of tigers in mass have caused them to almost go extinct. It's only recently that the number seems to bounce back because all the projects and efforts set up by the Bangladeshi and Indian government. However, even now, poaching these tigers for their fur, heads and ingredients for traditional Chinese medicine are still hampering the efforts. They, just like us, are mammalians that enjoy feasting. In their case, it's for survival and not for pleasure. Just think about it. Do you really think that we humans, who slaughter billions of chickens and millions of cows, goats, sheep and pigs, have a right to criticize other animals when they do just the teeny tiny microscopic fractions of the things that we do? No. I'm not telling you to stop eating meat. I'm just telling you to stop having problems when a tiger eats meat too. And finally, the thing I think that Bangladesh is the most famous or infamous for is the Rohingya refugee camp. The news coverage of it was huge internationally, and it was a tragedy that, according to my opinion, everyone should be paying at least a little bit attention to. To explain briefly, the Rohingya people have faced decades of systematic discrimination, statelessness and targeted violence in the Rakhine state of Myanmar. Such persecution has forced the Rohingya women, girls, boys and men into Bangladesh for many years, with significant spikes following the violent attacks against them in 1978, 1991 and 92 and again in 2016. Yet it was August 2017 that triggered by far the largest and fastest refugee influx in Bangladesh. Since then, an estimated of 750,000 Rohingya, almost a million, including more than 400,000 children, have fled into Cox's Bazar. In Myanmar, entire villages were burned down to the ground, families were separated and killed, and women and girls were humiliated in the most inhuman ways possible. Most of the people who escaped were severely traumatized after witnessing unspeakable atrocities. These people found temporary shelters in refugee camps around Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh, which is now home to the world's largest refugee camp. It is not something we are proud of, however. As of March 2019, over 1 million stateless Rohingya refugees reside in the Ukhia and Teknaf upazilas of Cox's Bazar. The vast majority live in extremely congested camps, and there are 34 of them, including the largest single site, the Kutupalong Balukhali expansion site, which hosts approximately 625,000 Rohingya refugees. More than 1 year into the multifaceted collaborative response, the situation has gradually begun to stabilize. Basic assistance have been provided, living conditions in camp have been improved somewhat, and disaster risk mitigation measures have been largely successful. Despite the progress, the Rohingya remain in an extremely precarious situation. The root causes of their plight in Myanmar have not been addressed and their future is yet uncertain. Refugees have been given access to the basics such as food and healthcare, but they are still extremely vulnerable, living in highly challenging circumstances, exposed to the monsoon element and dependent on foreign and future aid. To address the ongoing needs, a new joint response plan was launched in February 2019, requesting a total of $900 million to provide life-saving assistance to more than 1 million people, including the Rohingya refugees who fled Myanmar to Bangladesh and to local host communities affected by the disaster too. The local sentiment about the refugees are mixed. On one side, we are definitely proud that we can give shelter to our oppressed neighbors. The Bangladeshi locals who live near the vicinity of the camps share the exact opposite sentiment. Public order had been suffering greatly since the refugee camps were made. Gangs sprang up like grass shoots after a rain, and clashes between refugees and local people are not uncommon at all. There have been stories told of reporters getting beaten up and relief vehicles carrying food and medical supplies to one area of the refugee camp being robbed when they were passing through in other areas by rival Rohingya gangs. Recently, the situation has been improving greatly with the completion of the residential infrastructure on Bhasanchar. Group after group of Rohingya have been settled onto the island with their own homes. Some fear that the resettlement at a remote island such as Bhasanchar may be the cause of further segregation, but whatever the case may be, the government at last has taken an admirable step forward to solve the issue. Can Rohingya refugees ever return to their home countries? Only time will tell. Myanmar just a few weeks ago went through a military coup d'etat where the army seized control of the country once again and jailed their civil leader. The situation in Myanmar is tense as itself, with guns being pointed at civilian protesters. People have already been killed in riots, so I don't think they even have the time to consider about the future of exiled Rohingya citizens, other than maybe requesting Bangladesh to let them settle down forever. Rohingya people may be safe in Bangladesh with foreign aid, but their future is really uncertain. Other than maybe settling down on foreign land and living under foreign people, far away from their ancestral homes where their families have lived for generations and generations. It is not a proud sight, but it is something that you might know about Bangladesh. That has been all for this video. The last two topics might have sounded a bit too serious of a tone, but that was not my intention. I was just mentioning a few things about Bangladesh that even you might know. So how was it? Did you enjoy this video? Did you not like it? Give me a like if you did. It will really help the channel out by affecting the algorithm. But for today, that was the end. I will see you guys on the next video. This has been Tirtho from Art Sanctum, signing off.